All right, welcome back to Projects with Eric. I'm your host, Eric. I thought I'd give you a little bit of an introduction. This is my little girl, Molly, my black lab. She's been with Daddy for a very long time, for over a decade, 10 years. So, I thought I'd take a moment and explain a little bit of the channel to those of you who are new and don't know me, or those that may know me but not know me outside of work, who's checked out my channel and some subscribe. But I thought I would let you know a little bit about myself. I have been working on vehicles, motorcycles, bikes, cars, pretty much since I was about 13 years old. I had a family friend that was kind enough to show me and teach me how to work on vehicles and mowers and dirt bikes and four-wheelers and three-wheelers and all kinds of stuff. And he was really a great mentor for me and helped build the foundation and over the decades that I've been able to sit there and build up and get to where I'm able and have a large passion for just about anything and everything with a motor in it, from chainsaws and mowers to lawnmowers to what have you. And being who I am, I've always been a gearhead, so I thought I would explain to you a little bit about that, a little bit about my history. So I sat there and started doing that when I was 13, 14 years old. And then I was able to sit there and the same friend of mine became acquainted with someone who was running a hobby stock race car out in California, and where I grew up, and we started turning wrenches on that and working on that at our local racetrack, which is no longer exists. It's shut down for that purposes. I still believe that they do a swap meet every Sunday morning, which is what they used to do back in the day. It was racing on Saturdays and then a swap meet on Sundays. So we did that, and then like I said, over the years and decades of owning different vehicles and what have you, I was able to sit there and learn and work on more vehicles and get more of depth in them. Pretty much rebuilding motors, not so much wiring, but I've done more of that probably in the last 15 years and gotten pretty familiar with the layouts and how they work and the consistency of the operating systems and being able to do that. So, and as you can see by what's sitting beside me, I also have a passion for motorcycles, which I gathered from my father, who was an old dirt racer back in the day for desert racing. That was his big thing back in the late 60s and early 70s until he sustained an injury and pretty much put an end to his desert racing career. But he used to race Barstow to Vegas, Lake Elsinore, all kinds of big just meets. He was a member of what they called the Desert Foxes back in the day. I still have his race vest that he used to race with on it. Really, really great stuff. But as you can see, and we'll go over a little bit here, but I want to make this video a little bit shorter. Go over some of the projects that I've got in the fire and be able to go with it. So I'm going to introduce you to this bike, which is sitting beside me. I bought this off of a co-worker where I work. He had this sitting in his basement for a long period of time. It's sat there and misran. He rode it every day for a while, and then it started misbehaving, having a little bit of issues. Couldn't figure out what it was. Parked it one weekend, went out the next weekend to try and get it to start, and couldn't. And he didn't understand why. Didn't have the time, wasn't as mechanically inclined as I am, and was having issues. And turns out that it had spun the crankcase bearing on the right hand side. So I basically rebuilt the motor got it up and operational and rode it around myself for a while, and now it's starting to have issues again. I believe that the valve seats are getting worn out in it, what have you. So she probably needs to be taken apart. The heads need to be refreshed. She's already got brand new rings. Pistons measured great the last time I had it apart, and that's probably the top end needs to be rebuilt on both of them. The bike that you see beside me right here is a 2003 Vulcan 1600. It had definite rod knock when I bought it from the gentleman. He demonstrated it for me, showed me what the noise was. I already, as soon as he fired it up and it started running, I knew exactly what it was. The big end on the crank had been destroyed. It had spun the crank bearing down at the bottom, or the rod bearing at the bottom, and had done damage to that. So with that, I had to find a brand new crank, which was not easy, and I've been slowly piecing it back together. He told me that he had taken it and gone and done an oil change on it, and before that it had run no problems whatsoever. Was great. Sat there, refilled the oil, and then took it for a quick ride, mile up and mile back down the road. By the time he got about a mile down the road, the noise was progressively getting worse and worse and worse. Not exactly sure how it happened, but it definitely had spun the bearing in the bottom end of the rod, and was just, you could hear it slapping away, and it was just a god-awful mess. Well, we got it all back together again, found a new crank, got it back together. I'm trying to get the timing set on it, so that way it'll kick over and fire for the first time since I rebuilt the engine. And that's pretty much it with that project. Now, you all saw the first video. If you haven't, go back and check it. And for those of you that this is your first video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, so that way you get notifications when I post more videos. And I'm going to work on getting better at that. Got lots of projects that you'll get to see, and working on stuff. And also, please leave a message or comment down below, so that way we can help grow the channel and get it to where we can bring more and more content to you guys. I appreciate your time and taking the time to do that. Thank you very much for that. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Chief. So you saw it in the last video where we were able to get it running. I've already since then worked on another part of the project, which was replacing the ABS line to the front brake lever down to the ABS pump, which was damaged in the accident and or moving around when we got a hold of it. And I'm going to show you a little bit more of items. So bear with me for just a second and I'll bring you right back.